It was supposed to be a fun night out. My girlfriend and I were doing a double date with her sister and her boyfriend, and we thought an escape room would be perfect. The one we picked was called The Asylum. The ad said it was one of the most immersive horror-themed rooms in the city. It had a 90-minute time limit and a live actor for realism. We booked the last slot of the night at 10:30. We were the only group there when we arrived. The guy running the place looked half asleep. He handed us a waiver and made a weird comment like, "If you get too scared, just scream loud enough and someone will hear you." The room was what we expected, dark, with dim red lighting, peeling wallpaper, and fake medical props. We were locked into separate cells and had to find our way out and regroup. Classic setup. About 30 minutes in, the actor showed up. At least we thought it was the actor. He was dressed like a patient, hospital gown, messy hair, bandages on his face. He didn't speak, he just walked slowly, dragging his foot like he was hurt. His movements were too natural. I said nice touch, thinking he was just doing his job. But when he came closer to my girlfriend, he grabbed her arm. She yanked away and said, "Hey, too far." He just stared at her, then slowly backed into the shadows. We started to feel uneasy. Something felt wrong. The immersion was a little too real. We tried to find the emergency key or call button, but the panic button on the wall didn't work. It was glued in place like part of the set. We couldn't find a way to signal the staff. At the 85-minute mark, we still hadn't escaped the final room. The timer had stopped working. There was no intercom, and the actor, he was still in the room. When we finally solved the last puzzle and the door opened, no one was outside. The lobby was empty and the front door was locked. We ended up breaking a window to get out. When the police showed up, the staff denied having any live actors scheduled that night. The manager said the only employee on duty was the man we met when we arrived, who'd left before we even entered the room. They had no idea who the man in the costume was. It was in a small town about an hour outside Portland. My friends and I were on a weekend getaway and saw an escape room advertised in a gas station flyer, so we decided to go. When we arrived there, the place looked kind of sketchy. It was an old building and there was a weird smell, but we figured it added to the atmosphere. The room we picked was called The Basement. The staff guy was really enthusiastic. He said, "This one's intense. People walk out all the time. You guys sure you can handle it?" We laughed and said, "Bring it on." The whole thing started with us being blindfolded and led into the room one at a time. That should have been our first red flag. When the blindfolds came off, we were in a pitch black concrete room. There was one hanging light bulb flickering above us. There were chains on the walls and fake blood everywhere. But what stood out was how real everything felt. Then we heard the door lock behind us. At first it was fun, scary but fun. We found clues in a drain pipe, solved a puzzle written on bones, and unlocked a cabinet. But halfway through, the puzzle stopped making sense. There were handwritten notes that didn't match the theme. One read, "He comes when the lights go out." We thought it was part of the game. Then the lights went out for maybe 20 seconds. When they came back on, one of our group members had a cut on his arm. We thought he bumped into something, but he said he felt something brush past him. We demanded to be let out, but no one answered the intercom. The time limit ran out, but nothing happened. We started yelling, pounding the door. Nothing. Eventually, we found a hidden panel that led to a service hallway. That's how we got out. We walked through the back of the building and emerged into the alley behind it. The lobby was locked up and empty, like no one had been there for hours. We called the number on the website and someone answered. An older woman. She said the business had shut down over 6 months ago. We sent her photos of the inside. She went silent, then said, "That's not my design. That's not the room we built." We still don't know who ran that place. The police investigated and found the building abandoned. No ownership records since the shutdown. But there were signs someone had been living there. This happened to me and my cousin in 2019, right before Halloween. We were in Chicago visiting friends and saw this horror escape room pop up on Facebook called No Way Out. It had great reviews, said it was interactive and psychologically intense. We booked a private session since it was just the two of us. The room looked like an abandoned prison cell. Grimy walls, bars on the windows, and chains in the corners. The twist was that you were restrained at the start, my cousin was handcuffed to a pipe, and I was locked in a standing cage. We had to find ways to release each other and work our way out. At first, it was all puzzles and padlocks. Pretty standard. But then the room shifted. I mean, literally. A panel opened in the wall that led to another space, a long hallway painted completely black. We moved slowly, solving clues, but something felt off. The doors didn't seem to match the layout of the map we were given at the beginning. After we entered the fourth area, we realized the puzzles weren't solvable. One code led us in circles, another had missing pieces. It was like we weren't meant to finish. Then my cousin whispered, "I don't think this is the same company we booked." We tried to go back, retrace our steps, but the doors behind us had sealed completely. There were no latches, no emergency exits. I started to panic. I pounded on the walls and screamed. That's when a speaker above us crackled on. A distorted voice said, "You want out? Finish the game." But there were no more clues and no more puzzles. Just locked doors and the sound of something moving in the vents above. We eventually pried open a vent with a broken pipe that we found and crawled through. After about 15 minutes, we reached the lobby and it was empty. We called the police. They came, searched the building, and said everything seemed abandoned. The company that owned No Way Out had been closed for tax fraud 2 years earlier. The website? It was fake. Someone had copied the old design and set up fake booking links. Whoever trapped us in that room knew what they were doing. They planned it, they watched, and then they vanished.